Hello and welcome to the Early Learning Coalition of Miami-Dade and Monroe. Today I will be going over how to fill out the second installment certification survey for the American Rescue Plan Act grant. This is only for those programs, early learning programs, that have already been paid and approved for the first installment. Once this survey is filled out and submitted, it will be reviewed by an ELC staff member for final approval or for return for edits. Now you're probably wondering, how am I going to be notified to fill out this survey? You will receive an automated email from the system 80 days after your original application was approved, letting you know it's time to fill out the survey. Then 90 days from your initial payment, you will receive a second installment. And that's only if your survey is filled out correctly and approved. I will be sharing my screen with you shortly to go over the training of how to fill out the survey correctly. Okay, you should have access to my screen. At this point in time, I'm sharing with you the Early Learning Coalition website. When I go to the website, if I don't have the provider portal link already saved in my favorites, this is probably the fastest way to access the portal of where you're going to fill out the American Rescue Plan Act grant second installment certification survey. So I'm going to click on the little purple box that says provider portal. And I'm going to scroll down to Florida's Early Learning Provider Services portal. This is the same portal if you have a contract with us where you enter your school readiness and VPK information. If you don't have a contract with us, it's also the same portal where you submitted your original American Rescue Plan Act grant application. However, for purposes of this training, I can't use the live portal. I'm going to be using a test site to fill out an application to teach you how to fill it out correctly. So here's my test site. Do not copy this information because, again, it is a test site, okay? So you don't want to go to the test site. You want to go to the provider portal, how I showed you. So as you can see, a pop-up notification will show up. Now this one, it's saying that the application has been returned, okay? But again, for purposes of this training, let's just assume and pretend that the notice is telling me to fill out for the first time the application. So in order to fill it out, I can proceed or I can close it and come back later. On my dashboard, you will see the hyperlink to the Installment 2 certification, okay? Once I click on that, you can see that it says it was returned to the provider, but we're going to assume that for purposes of this training, this is the first time I'm filling it out. Section 1 is going to pre-populate your school name, your license, and your provider ID. You can't make any of those edits, okay? If anything is different or should not be on there, here's where you're going to give us that information. Section 2, is your program operating under the same license number as listed above? If it's not, you need to put no and tell us the reasons why, whether it was a change of ownership or you no longer own this center. We want to know the reasons why it's different than listed as above, okay? This will be verified with the Department of Children and Families, so please make sure you have the information accurately. So for purpose of this training, I'm going to put, yes, we're operating the same. Is your program currently open or temporary closed? If I put temporary closed, I just have to put reasons why. Due to COVID, okay? So you want to make sure you put a reason why. Have you had a contract terminated with the Early Learning Coalition since initial approval? If we've terminated your contract since you were approved for this application, you want to write yes. If you were not, then leave it as no. Oops, here. Have you implemented policies in line with guidance and orders from the federal, state, and local authorities? If you don't know what that means, these little circles, blue circles with an eye, are tooltips. However, unfortunately, this tooltip is going to take you to the Early Learning Coalition to how to locate us. You don't want to click on that tooltip because it's just going to give you our contact information. If you click on Miami-Dade, it'll give you our contact information and it takes you to our website, okay? However, what you want to do in case you forgot what those guidance and orders from the federal state are is if you go to our website and you go to providers, provider corner, you will see a link to the American Rescue Plan Act grant. If I click on that, all the information I want to know is on here. These are the resources you want to open to figure out what is that policy and guidance about, okay? Here you have the frequently asked questions, which also tells you information about payments. The spending and documentation guide, also a very important resource because you need to make sure that you're spending in line with what the federal government approved. You don't want to get an audit from the federal government or from the Early Learning Coalition and not have your receipts in line with what is approved on this grant, okay? You don't want to have to pay back any dollars, so please make sure you're utilizing these resources. The final document is the eligibility document. So within here, you will find the policies and procedures, and I think it's on the FAQ of how you should be aligning, okay? How you should be aligning your policies and guidance. So now that we have that yes or no, okay, I'm going to put no because I don't have it done yet. Have you reduced staff or reduced staff salaries? So if you have, you need to put an explanation. If you have not reduced staff or staff salaries, just put no, okay? Again, if you don't know what that is, it's going to tell you here. Providers should not reduce staff or staff salary benefits during the grant period. If answered yes, provide an explanation is required, and provider may be disqualified for receiving additional installments. Again, may be disqualified because we need to read as to why your staff has reduced or why you reduced their salaries and benefits, okay? Have you provided relief from co-payments? This is a very important question, okay? If you have assisted your families with co-payments and tuitions, you want to put yes. But in section 3, you want to make sure you tell us how much money you've already provided relief for those families. If you put no, it's okay. All right. Again, if you don't know what that is, you can click on the tooltip and it'll tell you. So section 3, we want to know, the state wants to know, have you utilized any of the funds from the ARPA grant? If you have not utilized, it's okay. There's no need to panic because we don't expect all providers to have already utilized some of the funds. You have till September 2023 to utilize the funds. So if that's the case, you want to make sure you put zeros all the way across. And I'm not sure why it's telling me it's not allowing me to change. So it should allow you to change. Okay, this is a test site, so I apologize, but it will allow you to make edits. Again, if you have not spent any funds, just put zeros all the way down, okay? For the purposes of this training, since it's not allowing me to make edits, I'm going to put yes, that I did provide tuition payments to the families, and I put $2,500, okay? Have funds been used, or do you plan to use these funds for business expenditures prior to March 11th? Regardless of what you put on your original application, this can be different than the original application. You could change your mind. If you put no originally, you could put yes now. But we need to know this because for auditing purposes, when we come out to audit your program, we're going to review the receipts to make sure they match in line with the categories that you selected or the categories that you put that you spent the funds on. Okay, so that's super important. Now, for purposes of this training, this site is not going to work to the best as it should on the live portal. So bear with me when we talk about this section here. This should be pre-populated. 18,600 is what I was awarded, meaning that my application was approved for 18,600. However, here where it says amount paid to date, it should pre-populate how much I've paid you so far from the coalition, how much the coalition has paid you. So if I was awarded $18,600, you know that the EOC is making the payments in 3 installments, okay, per the requirements of this grant. Well, a third of 18,600 would be 6,200. So this should pre-populate 6,200. You should not have to fill this out, okay? Amount spent, as you can see, it's going to pre-populate what I've put in these categories that I've supposedly already spent funds on. Then the remaining balance will also do the calculation automatically from these funds. Okay, so you don't have to worry about anything on this section. It should all pre-populate for you. Now, the submit button is available to me. That's because I filled everything out. However, let's assume that I didn't fill everything out. I got a red box. As you can see, I don't have the submission box anymore. I can hit save for later. I can hit cancel. Okay, I can hit save for later, or I can go back to review where the red areas are in. Oh, that's red, so I'm going to go ahead and change it. And now I get my submission button. Okay, so one of the other very important things before I submit, I want to show you is that if you opted to the workforce investment, if you remember, part of the bonus was to receive an additional bonus % increase to the total grant if you agreed to spending 25% of the total grant, okay? So I believe you received a 10% increase on the bonus. If you agreed to spend 25% of the total grant to be allocated towards staff. Okay, now this is above and beyond regular salary. This means that you've given them a bonus, that you're now paying for their health care, you're giving paid time off, or even salary increase. This is not just regular payroll. So if you opted in to saying yes to the workforce investment, please make sure that 25% of the total at the end has to be in this category. It doesn't have to be now because you have till September 2023. But at the end, when you are audited, we're going to verify that you spend 25%. My total here is 18,600. So 25% of that above and beyond payroll and salaries. Again, items such as bonuses, healthcare, tuition for school, paid time off, things in that nature. Okay. So now that I'm ready, I can hit submit and click on the box below. Okay. If your name does not match, you're going to see it's going to give you a red error. Right here, it tells me exactly how my name should read. So I have to remove that A, otherwise I won't be able to submit. Okay? I just submitted. Now, many of you during the original application thought you had submitted and you really didn't. That was usually caused by a slow internet connection. It's super important that you submit, otherwise you can potentially forfeit this grant second installment if you don't submit on time. Please make sure you submit when you receive that email notification. Again, in order to review to make sure you submitted, just click back on the hyperlink and you'll see it'll say the status right here, submitted on August 10th at 11:28, and it'll have your email information. So again, please verify that you have indeed submitted on time. Otherwise, this can delay or potentially forfeit your second installment. So once again, thank you. If you have any questions, please email us at qualityinitiatives@earlylearningcoalition.org. Again, that's Quality Initiatives, ELCMDM.org. If you have any questions, we will respond to your questions within 48 hours. Thank you and have a great day.